Tom Eagle off your morning mayor at AM 1450 KMMS in Bozeman, 1340 KPRK in Livingston, and on computers worldwide at KMMSAM.com. My co-host, Shane Taubman, half man, half amazing, is in Vancouver, British Columbia, making this an absolute, well, it's one of those shows that is international.
Yes, and more importantly, it's the end of the second week. So, it's finally Friday, and then we've been on this show now for 2 weeks, and it's really been an adventure and interesting. And hope to get lots of more comments and people send in their chats. And if you can, and you're watching, send in a question or two. That would be terrific too.
That would be great. Yeah.
It's not script, and we're not reading any kind of a machine or whatever. It's extemporaneous.
No teleprompter. This is a real deal. I mean, we're not those talking heads on TV that go, oh my God, Trump did this and, Pelosi did that. And, we do the real stuff here. So
and I want to give a shout out to all those essential people out there. I find it really difficult that your government, state and federal particularly, have decided to put an essential list together, which of course they did 60 or 75 days ago.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is everyone in both our countries is essential. Nobody hires anyone for no reason. They hire you because you're essential to them. So, the government may, for some reason, not think you're essential to someone, but you are if you have a job. And I say that you have a job because I believe that you will find that job again, and we'll move on from this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, you can text us anytime, 24/7, 365 at 406-478-8298. Try doing that. If you got a question, comment, or if there's something you want us to talk about, we'll be happy to do that for you, with you, whatever. And also download our app, our AM 1450 KMMS app. You get it at the Apple Store or Google Play, and you can also chat with us that way and send us anything you want. So, well, money would be nice. Send us that. That'll work.
The advertisers will come. I know it. I believe
they will come. Yeah, for sure. Hey, listen to our previous shows. If you missed any of them, we apologize. Yesterday did not tape for some reason, and I don't know why. It didn't go to Facebook Live. We apologize. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully this one is, but we'll certainly, I guess we'll know in a few minutes that either people will start texting or they'll start start doing something, refolding or whatever. So
yeah, right. Because yesterday, we usually get a number of texts during the show.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a single one yesterday. That's
great. So I don't know. We don't. Yeah, if you're out there, say hi at least, so we can know we're on the air. And if we're not, maybe we can start over, or something. So anyway, if you're out there, just say hi on your Facebook chat, and don't forget, if you're on YouTube, if you're watching a rebroadcast on YouTube, hey, don't forget to subscribe to our shows, and we'll be here every day of the week. And hopefully you will join us. So we appreciate that very much. So,
and if you want to find us on YouTube, just go to YouTube search and type in Tom Eaglehoff.
All right.
Our shows will come up.
They will.
It's a great thing.
Yeah. Bruce is here. Jim is here. And we got people here. So, hey, it must be coming out over the airways. So we appreciate that very much. Thanks, guys, for checking in. Linda's here. Judy's here. Bart is here. All right, man. We're starting to get some folks in here, so we're happy about that. Yeah, thank you very much. All right. Hey, well, the big news, I guess, finally, Shane, we got the Trump bill signed, or the stimulus bill. I guess it's not the Trump bill. He just signed it. But yeah, it's the payroll protection. And we had a lot of problems with the first one, that Harvard wanted money. All these billion-dollar corporations wanted money. And all of a sudden, the little guy on Main Street was, before he could get his W-2s together, they are taking all the money, and it's gone in 5 days, 6 days, something like that.
Well, they did provide money to over 5,000 small businesses.
Mhm,
So in that
mhm,
sense, it was successful. And those businesses aren't going to be requiring a lot of money. But it's interesting because on the woke news, there was a gentleman from California espousing your position that, that these are loans. And if you're paying an interest, then it's a loan. It's not a grant. But I read the bill, and it's very clear that if you follow the guidelines and
mhm.
file with your taxes next year, it becomes a grant, and
Yeah,
it's a
as
debt.
long as as long as you use 75% for employees.
Correct.
That's the condition. So if you
But
don't
well,
do
there's
that,
some other ones too. There's some other ones
yeah,
too.
well, there's some
That
others, but then it becomes a loan with interest, and you got to pay it back. Yeah.
that's right.
Yep, that's it. So, well, we'll see how this money's doled out, and we'll see what the conditions are. This also included more help for hospitals. My wife said, "Why in the hell didn't you just make it 500 billion? Why is it 484? Why don't you just round it up to
That's called
500
that's
billion?"
called Nancy Pelosi. That's
Yeah, right.
Mark.
Yeah. Well, the other thing also with this bill, we got to mention this that uh, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, can't say that name. She is the only Democrat that voted no because it's too small. Her and my wife should get together, I guess. she said, she says, I guess it should be 500 billion or whatever, but I guess it didn't include enough illegals.
Oh, that and the fact that on the floor of the House, when they were debating it, everyone was allowed
Mhm.
5 minutes, I believe, or it was cut back, I think, to three.
Yeah.
And she got up and made this speech about the fact that people should continue getting the money and not go back to work, stay home. The government should continue just paying you, which
She
is
did want you to stay at home.
so far
Yeah,
off of.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I don't even know that there's a proper noun or verb or adjective
Yeah, I
to
know.
describe this woman of
Mhm.
supposed great knowledge with limited understanding of how her country works. It's rather
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah, it's sad. She's gonna live in the, Linda says, "Hi." Thank you, Linda. Yeah, she's gonna live in this little bubble. Uh, you know, her more likely she'll be reelected forever. She's probably gonna spend 30 years in the House, and she may eventually make it to the Senate. I don't know, but anyway, I'm sure she's gonna be in the House forever.
I wouldn't bet on that, but we'll see. I was,
Well, her
I
district is just so heavily Democrat. I mean,
that's true,
yeah.
but they can vote for someone else, or
Well, they can, yeah.
someone can run against her, in the primaries. That the young member of Congress, I think from Michigan, that got on television, African American woman that told everyone that she was saved by the the well, we're going to talk about it later. I guess I could
Yeah.
bring it up again, but she got primaried and thrown out by the Democrats, so
Mhm.
they're not letting her run for her seat again, which is so strange. I mean, how strange. I mean, how
Mhm.
partisan can you be, really? I
Well, the
mean,
Democrats are really tough on you. I mean, ask Bernie.
yeah, right.
You know, how
Yeah.
many times do I have to do this, guys, before you realize I'm a real candidate? Sorry, Bernie, you're way off the charts for us. You know, your reservation has expired.
Well, I think he'll run in 24 again so he can, buy a house or a home in Florida, or maybe, down somewhere in the Caribbean for the winter, because,
Oh yeah,
yeah, he's one of those socialists,
oh,
he's freewheeling. He wants a
yeah,
three-leg stool, and he's only got two homes right now, so he needs another one. So
yeah.
let's go with it.
There you go. Well, the lamestream media has once again. I don't know what Trump is thinking. Dip your syringe in Lysol and start injecting yourself with antiseptic, and you'll be fine. You'll kill that virus right away. If it kills it on surfaces, it definitely will kill it inside your body. So
Yeah, not
go
not
for
at
it.
all even what was discussed at the news conference yesterday. He had the general in charge of the military lab that researches this information, and he got up and presented a report because everyone's watching now because the southern hemisphere is coming out of summer and into winter, so they want to see what and how the virus affects the countries of the southern hemisphere. And we're coming into summer, of course, and he was stipulating that sunshine, 70 degrees sunshine, and about 20% humidity,
Mhm.
less humidity the better, that the life of the virus on surfaces outside will die in a matter of minutes. That's what the news conference was, and of course,
Mm.
he also mentioned ultraviolet light, and it's an electromagnetic radiation with a wavelength of it's very small. It's a corresponding frequency of about 30
Mhm.
physics and shorter than the visible light. So you can't see ultraviolet light, but it's longer than X-rays, which they developed and used for medicine. The interesting thing is that I want everybody to feel comfortable about ultraviolet light because every bottle of water that you drink, you buy, or any liquid with the exception of dairy products, they go through two processes in the bottling of the water.
Mhm.
The first one is they go through a ultraviolet scan, every bottle, to kill bugs and anything in viruses that are in the water that they're
Mhm.
bottling, and then they inject ozone in it,
Mhm.
clean it as well. So, every bottle of water you get, you get a delayed a delayed ozone injection and ultraviolet. So, let's talk about something that really matters. But anyway, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
it's just one of those
Well,
things that,
yeah.
ultraviolet light can and does cause overusage, skin cancer. So we
Mhm.
know that, and
Sure.
by the way, it's one of the biggest killers
You talking
in
about the
both
tanning parlors?
being in the sun,
Yeah.
and
Well, that too.
developing,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so it's, it develops melanoma, which is probably
Yeah.
one of the biggest cancer killers in both our countries
Yeah.
because people spend so much time. A lot of people enjoy being in the sun. So
That's true. Yeah.
there you go.
Jim says, use it to sanitize eggs. So
That's
that may be
correct.
that may be a
Yeah, you can tell a fresh egg when you put it in water and it floats, it's fresh. If
mhm.
it's not, doesn't mean it's not edible.
Yeah.
And the other thing you can do too is, if you buy a dozen eggs and there's a bright light in your store, which normally there is, open it up, lift the egg carton up to the light, and see that the yolk is laying flat. And that's another way of knowing that the eggs you're getting are somewhat fresh.
All mine sink to the bottom when I boil them.
And that's all the protein, baby. 3 eggs a day is enough to provide you the 4 ounces of protein your body needs.
Yep. I live on eggs, hard-boiled eggs.
That's right. And as I said, I don't know if I was on the show last week, but I think so. Americans consume 1.2 billion, 1.2 billion eggs a year. That's a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
eggs. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough on the
Breakfast is
chickens.
important with the bacon.
That's right. Gotta have the bacon because yeah, I know.
That's why they say bacon and
Or
eggs.
sausage too. I had sausage and
Ooh,
eggs this
sausage is
morning, so,
good.
yeah,
Bangers,
that's
those
good stuff,
British
yeah.
bangers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Well, in other news, Harvard got a check and all the universities applied for checks and the big corporations applied for checks and, well, what are they doing with them, Shane? What are they doing with all
Well,
these checks?
they all came out and made statements yesterday, all the Ivy League schools, that they were entitled to money, that they had not received a check, but if they do, they will return it.
Mm.
And of course, they should. As we've reported
Funny how
often,
you get one without applying for it, and
I
you gotta
think you
fill
have
out the thing, you know?
yeah, they went to their we talked about it the other day, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They definitely had to go to their bank and
I was gonna
apply.
say, for the benefit of people who didn't hear us the other day, we'll just
Yeah.
make sure they know that, yeah, that, Harvard didn't suddenly say, "Oh, a $20 million check showed up. I wonder where that came from."
Well, actually, it was $1 billion, but,
Well, yeah, yeah, they got well, yeah, there were several
they were
companies
going
that
to.
got
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that got
yeah.
big bucks and
Yale.
I know some
Stanford,
companies
even Stanford.
some companies were applying for themselves and also for their subsidiaries. So they got 10 million here, 10 million there. Pretty soon it's big bucks.
It's yes, someone made that quote famous, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
that's
But
true. Mhm.
the remarkable thing is listening to our pastor Como insisting that, the US government should bail his state out because he's like 15 billion shy of a balanced budget, which he has to produce. And of course, he may have to quit being paid. I mean, he might have to give up his salary. Oh, would that be too
Oh,
bad? And of course, the city of New York alone, de Blasio, he wants 7.5 billion, which we've talked about a number of times. But there's a number of states, Illinois, Michigan, and of course New Jersey. Not that this isn't an issue, but it's
mhm,
because of liabilities they have, particularly their pension funds, that have been a liability, prior to the virus. So
mhm.
once again, you're having Democrats out there wanting a handout from you and Bozeman to take care of them and their mismanagement of their state and overpaying people, for retirement. It's I mean, like a lot of police in New
Mhm.
York, they can retire as early as 45 with full pension. I mean, meaning getting full pay and
Yeah.
benefits. Yeah,
Well, that's why all these cities are broke because they've got these ridiculous pension
exactly.
plans that the unions put in when times were good, and now they've got to pay the piper, and they have a contractual obligation to pay those.
That's right.
And McConnell was talking about letting states go bankrupt because they can't. States can't go bankrupt.
No, they
Cities can.
cities
Cities
can,
can. People can, but states
counties,
can't. Yeah,
and
counties
counties
can.
can, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but states, no, you can't go bankrupt in a state. I'm sorry. You gotta,
No,
you gotta, you got to borrow it or
that's
find a way
right.
to make it.
That's exactly right, and we're
Yeah,
having the same problem up here,
yeah,
and to a large degree, it's understandable. I mean, with everything shut down, of course, there's no income coming in for
yeah.
for the government.
Hmm.
Businesses aren't paying, all the fees and everything they have to,
Hmm.
be it in a city or in a, state, and all the taxes that they would be paying, the state
Hmm.
taxes, city taxes. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the demolition party in all these major urban areas of your country, in the next 6 months to the end of the year, resolve these issues because they're going to find themselves in serious financial difficulties.
Yes, they are. Jan says, "Hey, all. Thanks, Jan, for being here. We appreciate you very much." Jim says, "Moment of silence for the pig because, well, the chicken's just volunteering. The pig is committed."
There
So,
you go. That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, and what a contradiction, the chicken is the dirtiest animal in the barnyard, and the pigs are the cleanest animals
Well,
in the barnyard. So there you go.
well, I don't know. You'd to look at the two living quarters. I'm not sure you'd agree with that, but
Oh,
I
a
know
lot of animals cool themselves in mud. That doesn't make it
that's
dirty.
true. That doesn't mean they're dirty, does it?
That's right.
Right. Well, I'm gonna let you fool with this one because this is way over my head. So, what is nucleic acid?
Oh, yes. Well, we were talking about reagents last week,
Hmm.
and the reason we were talking about it is because everybody's all uh, about these tests. We need to have tests to solve the problem, and they're developing and wanting to come out with an ELISA test, which they use to, with a drop of blood, make it very simple. Excuse me. So there's a rapid antigen test, which we'll talk about on Monday, but today we'll talk about nucleic acid test. And the reason that it's particularly important is it's a sequence that usually is used to detect or identify species or subspecies of organisms, meaning viruses, because that's what they are. It's a subspecies. And it's a very quick way to determine if it's in your bloodstream. It's also used for bacteria. And I mean, it's been used for 100 years, particularly with checking pathogens in the blood and tissue of your skin and urine. And keep in mind, your skin is the largest organ in your body, so you really do need to take care of it and pay attention to it. Yeah. So there's specific genetic materials that can be that are determined by the RNA and DNA, rather than using antigens, which is a totally different test. We'll talk about it, as I said, on Monday. So it's an interesting, you know, it's an interesting construct because it's been around, as I said, for about almost 100 years, and the nucleic acid amplification tests aren't new. They've been used, to advance DNA, and of course, in the 90s and into the beginning of this century, when they broke down the DNA sequence, they became really important because it's specific to the DNA itself. So that's why it's an important test if they can get one that's simple.
Well, let's hope so. I mean, we're going after all this stuff, as much as we can, Shane. And, it's going to be a while before we have a virus, or a
Vaccine.
or some kind of a vaccine. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Help me out.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that we found out today, and I forgot to put this in, Shane, so I'm going to put it in now, is that during the Obama administration, he sent a pretty good sized check to the facility to study coronavirus in bats in 2015.
Right. That's correct.
And, so.
And you remember
I don't know if the taxpayers were aware of that or not, but maybe they were. I don't know.
You remember the Zika virus? I mean, that was
Oh,
a
yeah.
huge problem, and I believe it was 2010 and 11 during Obama's administration. And what it was about is the National Institute of Health, the NIH, which everyone's getting to know now. He had cut their budget, and they were very anxious, by $1.5 billion. And oddly enough, out of nowhere comes this virus that's been around for like 50 years. And oh my God, pregnant women in Florida are going to die from it. You remember that summer with mosquitoes?
Oh, yeah.
They were spraying everything, and
yeah.
The NIH, woke everybody up. You got to woke up to this Zika virus, and it's another typical example of politics interfering with policy and public health, because they, in my mind, and you and I talked about this when it happened.
Oh, yeah.
I said this to you then, and I'll say it to you now. It was a show me the money situation. Oddly enough, by September of that year, they got their $1.5 billion from Obama. And guess what happened? No more Zika. Remember that? Do you remember how that's what we talked about. It was like all summer long, every day, the news cycle, Zika, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just like we're dealing with now. And it's very sad that, it's one of these things: fool me once, shame on you; fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
So you had the Zika virus with the science, and you had the MERVs, and then you had H1N1 and SARS, the common cold, no virus, no
and
vaccine.
The flu. Don't forget the flu.
The flu. They've, pharmaceuticals have made billions on it because it's an unstable virus.
Yeah.
So they have to guess. Remember, we've talked about it. It's almost not even funny, but last year, 179 million Americans got a vaccine shot, only to find out they picked the wrong one. So we've gone over all these numbers. That's,
I know. Yeah.
That's why we're so upset with this whole situation, because science has failed everyone really bad. And I'm still waiting for a reporter to ask those two scientists, the the silk
Oh,
scarf and the short guy,
Fauci
you
and
know.
the scarf
Well, I didn't
queen.
wanna mention it. Yeah, I didn't wanna mention their names. But someone has to ask them what is their opinion of how the virus has affected global warming?
Yeah.
Because I really believe they have a different agenda, and that's what it is. And I believe that
So
as
you think
bad as
they're uh, the fear of you think they decided global warming, yeah, we got to do something about that. Is there
yeah,
any way we can put everybody inside for a month
that's
or
right. Well,
two
well,
to
think
clean the
about it.
planet? It's like spring cleaning. Get the
Yeah,
vacuum
before
out
yeah,
and
before right.
suck all the negatives out of the air.
Well, for 2 years, the whole
Yeah,
news cycle has been the existential
yeah,
disaster of
yeah,
of mankind. So
yeah,
I really I'm not a conspiracy
mm,
theorist, but I
yeah,
look at the numbers, I look at the science, I look at how bad and how wrong they were,
yeah.
and, I don't think your president overreacted. I think, as I've told you before, he doesn't react to stuff. He prepares and he wants to solve. And, I think when they gave him the numbers they gave him, which are staggering numbers, and the threat to collapse your medical system. And then during the whole 90 days since January, we've watched the CDC numbers about the flu virus this year, and
Mhm.
how many hospital visits and doctor's visits and people, that have got the flu. I just think that they had a different agenda, like China. This was an act of war. China intentionally did this. There's no doubt in my mind. From money to stories to science to papers to how it spread, everything. And we talked about it last week. This is fentanyl. Well, it's virus 3 and fentanyl. So this is the fourth time they've hit the world. Well, the U.S. particularly with
Yeah.
something that can be devastating. And it
Mhm.
was, we talked yesterday briefly about Sweden, and the concern I have about that, and I know I'm probably going out of turn of what you've got your list of things there to
That's
talk about.
okay. Just keep in mind that nobody heard us yesterday because the thing didn't work.
That's why I'm bringing it
So
up.
you may want to remind people what we talked about with Sweden.
Well, what no, we were just Sweden, took the, decision not to shut down their economy, not to shut down their country.
Mhm. Yeah.
And, they have been, um, people have made a big deal about it. It's a wonderful country, but they've had 17,000 people infected, 794 deaths to date, and 9,200 people recovered. So more than 50% of the people have recovered. So their determination not to take this wild dive into let's destroy our
Mm,
economy probably is not too bad when you consider
mhm.
those numbers now are looking like similar numbers to the flu.
Yeah.
That and another reason I say this and why we keep telling everyone, which now they are admitting to, of course, right? Because of the
Mhm.
news conferences in the last this week. This is here forever. 1.3 million infected in Europe. Now, Europe is a trading bloc of 27 countries and geographically about the same size as the United States and a bigger population too, 500 million people. But they've had 116,000 deaths across Europe and 379,000 or 380,000 people have recovered. So they've had about a 30% recovery, but their numbers are far greater than what the US has suffered. But you won't hear that anywhere else because they don't want to make those comparisons. They don't want to
Mhm.
to alleviate the stress they've put your country through. So I really think that science, doubled down on this,
Mhm.
and they're all. This is a new Green Deal, folks. It coming sideways. It came at you sideways. It didn't come at you directly. You didn't get a vote. You didn't get to vote on it because Bernie got blown out.
Yeah.
But the, the bottom
Yeah.
line is that it's now 2 years into the 12 years, and we're all gone. So
Yeah.
it's
That's
10 years
true.
away, but doesn't look like it's
Well,
gonna
I
be
think
delayed. It's gonna be delayed, Tom. You wait.
I was gonna say putting everybody indoors for a month, has probably helped us out quite a bit, so
Yeah,
I
it's
think we're okay.
until
We're okay
there's
there.
a volcano.
That's true. Yeah. Whatever that the next. Karen says hi. Hi, Karen. Thanks for joining us. Jim says, have you ever been around a hog farm? I have had a few uh, Rocky Mountain oyster parties in my time, Jim,
But
living on the farm.
yeah, but well, I guess you could. Yeah, I mean, we in Montana, I went to a number of ranches in the spring when they would castrate the lambs, the males,
Yeah.
and they'd
Yeah.
fry them up. We'd eat them.
I was not going to use
But
that particular word, but that's
but
okay.
I served Rocky Mountain oysters.
Yeah.
No, but
With
I served
scrambled
Rocky Mountain
eggs.
oysters.
Mhm.
No, at the Rex Hotel. On Fridays, we would have fresh oysters flown in from the East Coast, and we'd have fresh oysters and Rocky Mountain oysters, and they're bull testicles, and they're very large. I mean, when I say large, they're like this large.
It's a
And I
family
had
show.
I had
Family
to
show.
boil them.
It's
It's
a
not.
family show. Calm
So
down.
you have to boil them, and then you have to skin them, and then you cut them.
Do we have to hear this?
Yeah, because they're actually pretty good. And then you bread them, and then you deep fry them, or you can pan fry them. But quite the delicacy in a lot of parts of the western part of the United States. So that's why I think it's cool.
Okay.
I was proud to serve them at my restaurant. It was great.
I don't have a problem with serving them. I have a problem of where they come from and the verbiage needed to get them to the table.
Yeah, but we can, as long as it's correct verbiage, we can use it. And on top of it, I have to tell you, I did shed a few tears, and I shouldn't touch myself, but I did shed a few tears thinking about the poor bulls, that lost their oranges, their orange.
I've got to go on.
Okay. Wait, hey, you brought it up.
I brought it up just for like 2 seconds, not to have a whole littny of.
There isn't a subject I can't comment about.
I realize that. And that's one that I'll never bring up again, ever. You're kind of joking about it, but this is all about Agenda 21 and sustainable growth and a sustainable way to supply food to the collective. And I think Sweden was absolutely right in their action. Well, I don't know about the best way to eat them, but anyway, I'm not going to talk about the best way to eat anything.
Well, look, the bottom line.
We'll move on.
The bottom line about Sweden is now with the one country whose government will step forward at some time, because they've been branded, of course. Right. And they'll say, well, we looked at the science and we looked at the other things to compare it to, and it didn't make any sense to us. Yeah. And they were right, because they've had more issues with the flu in Sweden this year, in this cycle, than they did the coronavirus, and as have you. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And these numbers coming out of California on this are really stark. They're now talking about 1.2 million people in California have or are or were infected, and they didn't report any of these numbers to your federal government. Now, wonder why? I mean, isn't that the home of save the planet and change the planet and Soylent Green? Oh no, it's not Soylent Green. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, how much trouble should they be in for not reporting their numbers? Come on, folks, wake up.
They should be in trouble for not reporting their numbers. So,
of course,
because Jim says, "Come on, it's gourmet food." I don't care if it's gourmet food or not, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. You're my man, Jim. You're my man.
It's like sausage. I don't want to know how it's made.
Oh, it's nowhere near sausage, but you can grind it up and make it into great sausage.
I'm going to mute you.
Yeah, well, I used to do that, and then I'd add whole peppercorns. I didn't break them up, and I'd use rock salt and a number of my own special spices. Yep. I made my own pork sausages and cow sausages.
All right. Okay. All right.
Hey,
people are leaving to go eat. Stop it.
Oh, okay. Well, there's nowhere for them to eat unless they're at home. So, maybe we We should pick a week every week, and I'll
They're
give
slamming
everybody
their
a
laptops down and they're saying, "I'm out of here."
well, no, but the people are famous. I'll take my computer to the kitchen, and I'll show people how to prepare a dinner for 4, 5, 6 people in 15
All
minutes.
right, we'll do that. All right.
It'll be hey, might go viral. Like,
Yeah. Well, the people that you haven't already made sick from
oh,
the
Sweden,
vernacular where they come from. So let's move on, shall we? Can we move on? We got to move on here. So I want to talk about Myrtle Beach because this is you
so important.
can't make this up. You can't make this up. Myrtle
Yeah,
Beach has
I know.
decided Myrtle Beach has decided that they are going to turn the water off.
Mention the state.
Myrtle Beach,
Mention
North
the
Carolina.
state.
Yeah, on the
Thank
coast,
you.
on the it's a vacation
Right on the
mecca.
coast.
You go there for spring
Oh,
break
huge.
and all that. Yeah, it's a big place. And they've decided they're going to turn the water off for all the summer homes or winter homes or whatever they are to keep people from going there as a coronavirus deterrent, if I can use that word. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
That's where we've come down to. You can't buy tomato seeds in Michigan, but you can buy weed. So
That's right.
go
That's
for
right.
it. Yeah, get whatever you want. But yeah, if you're planning on going to Myrtle Beach, I don't know.
So if you grow tomatoes, cut them in half and take the seeds out like you do in other vegetables because they have lectin in them, and that's not good for you to eat. So tomatoes are great, but take the seeds out, especially from fresh tomatoes.
Oh, I love tomato sandwiches with mayonnaise, seeds and all.
You shouldn't eat the seeds. Not
Seeds
good.
are good for me. They're good for me.
Not
That's
good.
That's where I get my pink complexions from tomatoes.
No, that's where you get the tire around your waist.
From tomatoes?
The seeds. I didn't
Oh,
say
the seeds. Oh, the seeds are fattening?
yes, they're not good for you.
Oh. Hmm. You're
I
just
told you
getting
I can comment on anything you want me to.
Yeah, I know you can. That's why you're here. After 10 years or more, I know that. Thank you. You're getting a glimpse of the control they're going to initiate to make you conform to the hive.
That's right.
Sandy
was
said,
just gonna say that, it's like the big word in the woke media right now is herding.
Yeah.
Humans herd.
That's Sweden. Sweden herded. Sandy says, don't knock it till you try it. Tomorrow they are great. Shane can make some for me anytime. Okay, good.
All right, Sandy. It's a date. Of course, I don't know how far or where. Do you know where she lives? Where do you live, Sandy? Tell us where you're from.
Well, as far as I know, she's in Montana.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I read it wrong. She was telling me, don't knock it till you try it, Tom. Her spell check, I guess, made Tom tomorrow. They're great. Shane can make them for me anytime. Bruce says tire? Question mark.
excuse me.
So thanks
Don't
for all.
make me laugh.
Thanks for all the comments here, but we
Well, now we know why the show didn't get recorded yesterday.
that must have been it.
No comment.
I wish this one wasn't recorded today.
Why?
All right. Well, in the sad news, I guess, well, in America, it's sad anyway. We finally passed 50,000 deaths in America, and whether or not they're from the coronavirus is anybody's guess. Some are probably, and some aren't, and we don't know. And when you compare it to Europe, which you were going to do, Shane, I know.
Yes, we talked about it already.
Yeah, it's no contest.
Yeah, well, global cases of infection are 2,761,000, and Europe's infection to this point is 1,289,000. That's a pretty overwhelming number. So they can all thank China for sending this to their homelands because they did it intentionally, and I hope they woke up to it. Anyway, we're trying to flatten the curve here in British Columbia. We're 1,824 cases, up 29 from yesterday. Regrettable deaths of 94, up 4. And recovered, though, 1,092, up 13. So that's just pretty impressive. We're like at 60% or better. Canada is 43,500 confirmed cases, up 1,800. Regrettable deaths of 2,294, up 153. And but recovery is 15,500, so 30%. So it's an interesting contrast. Global recovery is 760,000. So, it's about 25% globally. But that's of people they've confirmed cases. 98% of the people can get this with no infection or whatsoever.
Yeah.
So when you compare these numbers to the global population of 7.8 billion people, those global warmists, keep telling us about it.
Those guys.
The numbers are extremely low, and and so again, it has to be said. So I'm going to say it. 39 million to 56 million flu illnesses in your country alone by the CDC. 18 to 26 million medical visits to doctors. This did not overwhelm your medical system, folks. Listen to these numbers. 410,000 to 740,000 people were hospitalized because of the common H1N1 flu, and 42,000 deaths they're now reporting from the flu virus this last season. So serious science is in serious trouble because someone had a different agenda.
Well, welcome to Matchmaker here. Sandy says she's in Three Forks, and yes, a date. I'll hold you to that. So there you are, Shane.
That's if I ever come back to Montana. Right?
Come to town, your entertainment is provided here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the restaurants will be open. You can go out to a nice dinner, maybe a movie, whatever. So it'll be fun. Well, one of the things we talked about mentioned yesterday, I meant to say that 3 million cases have been reported. That 3 million people have antibodies in New York City.
That's right.
Apparently some excessive testing. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. That that's a third of their population almost.
The city.
Yeah. So when you put that in context of the number of people that have died in the city, then the mortality rate is greatly reduced when you have that many people.
100%. And the science will regrettably have to explain to the American people how this virus, which is a mortality rate of less than 1%, as H1N1 is 1.1%, and this will be somewhere between, I think it'll end up between, say, 0.3 and 0.5 based on the numbers I'm looking at or have analyzed.
Yeah.
So should never done it. Now, I want to qualify that. It's a combination of two things. Your president looked at the numbers they gave them, and he looked at what medical equipment your country had, and he looked at where it came from. So when you look at what he did, which closing travel to China, it took our pilots union in Canada to do it because our government wouldn't. It's a pretty astounding thing what he has accomplished and gotten industry in the U.S. to do in 90 days, January, February, and March. So less than that, really, 65 days. The degree to which everything's been supplied, and you don't read it in a woke media, and no one will say not a single American was denied a respirator, not one. And several other issues that they resolved, even though it started out and the media made it as big as they could. And it's very scary to realize how something serious like war could because this was an act of war. I mean, at what point? And of course, you can't, because just CNN has gone from being the Clinton news network to the China news network now, right? You
Mhm.
know, I mean, China. I mean, it's unbelievable. Russia, nothing there. And they don't want to talk about Biden, China, because there's 1.5 billion there. But let's talk about the viruses and them being wrongfully. No, so yeah, it's going to be a great year, Tom. I'm looking forward to this. You
Yeah.
said we get 6 months, right? So we're half a month in, got 5.5 months to go.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to make it work.
So we'll see what happens. Yeah. All right, man.
Yep. There you go.
All right. Next, well, the FDA, they don't like the hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine or whatever it is. The
I
hydroxy.
told you,
Yeah.
Plaquenil. Plaquenil is its brand name.
It's on the screen. I see that. Yeah. But yeah, the FDA doesn't like that. The other thing we should point out about the virus that people don't know, the Broadway actor, his name escapes me at the moment, lost his leg to the coronavirus because of blood clots. That apparently is an issue. For some people, if they're susceptible to blood clots in their legs or extremities, this can be very serious because blood thinners counteract the effects of whatever they're treating the patient with. So this Broadway actor had to give up a leg to save himself from the coronavirus. So still alive, thankfully, but that's and apparently that's one of the side effects that people that have that proclivity and are on blood thinners for whatever reason, they're not able to take both a cure and or a
Yeah, but
medication.
you can't be science and have it both ways.
No, you can't. No, I'm
And
not.
that's what they're trying to. No, but that's what they're trying to do, Tom. And it's wrong. It's misleading. It's inappropriate. And they harp about, what is it? First, do no wrong. Well, viruses do a lot of wrong. Excuse me. You know,
Mhm.
it's the greater good. It's what we can is acceptable. Like, the deaths from H1N1,
Mhm.
which they say they have a vaccine for. Well, doesn't work very well, does it?
No.
I mean, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Now, this drug, which is, it's anecdotal, which they don't want. It's like people doing well on vitamins. The
Yeah.
pharmaceutical industry wants to shut vitamins down. You know that. We've talked about it. We know
Yeah.
a good friend that had a show that talked about it.
Mhm. Yeah.
But this drug has been around for 70 years for malaria and for rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, skin diseases. It's been studied. It's been reviewed. They've had, you know, every kind of, anecdotal study or whatever they require. Now, they already know for those common diseases that lots like malaria is one of the biggest killers of people in the world. Side effects are vomiting, headaches, muscle weakness, change
Yeah.
in vision, and
Mhm.
severe effects can be allergic reactions, vision problems, which
Mhm.
and it can cause problems with your heart if that's a
Yeah.
underlying illness.
All the
But if
all the side effects of watching us.
But when I look through this, Tom, and I watch these ads on TV, the pharmaceuticals are trying to sell me, and I look at what they're suggesting I take to solve a disease or some type of concern. We've laughed about it before. I mean, the cure sounds terrible, worse than the disease. Remember the one that what did it cause? I can't.
Yeah.
I guess I can't say it, right?
Well, suicide or things like that.
Leakage. No, but the one that caused leakage.
Yeah.
Remember the one that caused
All
leakage?
right. Well, yeah.
See, I can't talk about it. No, but I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. No, you're
anyway.
right.
I
I
just
correct.
it burns my oranges
Yeah.
that people out there are being misinformed by the woke media, misinformed by science, misrepresentation by the pharmaceutical industry for something that for a large portion of people, not the 2%, because we should protect them and they shouldn't probably use these meds. but Planaquil and the Z-Pack work. Now, let's talk about this yesterday. So, because it's relative to this, our pastor Como in his news conference gets the following question: is it true that you're returning older people that have been tested positive for the virus back to their homes, their care homes? And he goes, well, I don't know. I'll have to. So he turned it over to some young guy who's supposedly looking, watching old, the rest homes in New York State. And you know what he said? Oh, yes, that's the protocol. We don't keep them in the hospital. We send them back to their home care. Wait, these are people that have tested positive in New York for this virus. They're sending them back in their homes with other older people.
Yeah.
The 2% we're all supposed to care about.
Yeah.
And how crazy is New York? I mean, I can't believe he hasn't. When is he going to be charged with murder? Because at some point, someone is going to charge somebody with murder. Okay, they are. That's going to happen.
Yeah, they may have. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked before we went off the air. We were going to talk about him and his glorious, governorship since 2011 and the $4.4 trillion he's blown on. Okay, folks, get ready for it. Global warming projects to save the, existential problem of the world. And the money's all gone. And he doesn't have enough respirators for his. I mean, this doesn't make sense, folks. Come on.
Amen to that. Well, another topic. Sandy wants to know what happened to the meeting, or what happened at my meeting with the town square people. Well, we're making plans to maybe come back on Saturday, at least for a while, till we get a little more. Maybe we'll be back on the radio in phase 2, whenever that starts. I don't know.
There you go.
We'll see how it plays out. So we're trying our best to get back on the air on a regular basis. So
I have some great news. Can I give everybody, because we're running out of time?
Yeah.
So the Dow Jones the New York Stock Exchange Index closed today. I'm not talking about the Dow Jones 30. The New York Stock Exchange Index, which represents over 1,600 public companies that trade on the New York Stock Exchange, 11,003.0, up 86.5 points. Why is that important? Well, because the low was 8,664.
Yeah.
So, again, another woke reality on even, CNN or MSNBC, that's the financial channel, or the other one that has a financial, they don't talk about these things. It's so funny because I look at the Dow, which is 30 stocks out of over 1,600 that everybody measures the U.S. economy on. And, 4 of them were down today of the 30. Who cares?
Yeah.
I care about all the other companies that are out there.
Right.
While we're on it, just real briefly, so the euro picked up a whole basis point back to 108. Very important, because we're looking at that, 107, 105 to 107. It's pound sterling 123. It's on par with yesterday. The Canadian dollar is basically the same, half a point. It's at 140. So remember, you get 40% on your money if you come here. There's no change. But what is really interesting, once again, is your debt. And it's almost incredible to look at every day. But the least interested bonds in your country right now are 1 month and 3 month. But the 1 month is at 0.6 and it's doing well. And the 30-year is at 1.19 for interest. And it's really being gobbled up. Finally, we always talk about this quickly. Oil, Texas is 17.11, up 61 cents. Ooh, big move. Brent, still there's oh my God. The Arabs and the Russians are still selling Europe oil at $21.92, and natural gas is at 170. I gotta get it. It's got to get back to $2. 70 cents on national average on gas. But here's the big one, folks. Well, first of all, Gold 1726 down 523, and silver's at 1523 down 7. But this does not bode well for for life President Xi. Soybeans 838.25 down 9.25.
Yeah,
Wheat
that's not good. Yeah.
wheat 532.75 down 12.75. Xi, you better start thinking about having a cup of tea with someone that's going to make a difference.
Yeah. Amen to that. All right. Well, we're getting close to let's see. Linda wants to know, are you keeping your show on Facebook? I can't get your radio show. Well, of course you can get our radio show when we're on the air. All you do is go to kmmsam.com and click on the whoever's on. You can listen to us whenever we're on. I would love Trump.
That's right.
I would love Trump to, as Shane says, have big oranges and tell the Federal Reserve that they can't charge interest anymore or just abolish them altogether. Well, the Federal Reserve has to charge interest because they pay it to the country.
Well, and right now you're the only what? You're one of the only first world countries that all your bonds that are listed and traded are in positive mode.
Yeah.
A lot of the countries
barely in positive mode.
No, but they're positive.
Yeah, they are.
The 1 month of the 30-year bond, they're all positive. And there's other major countries that are paying you to buy it.
Yeah.
If you can believe that one. Well, anyway.
How true. The latest, one of the things we've got to mention here, if I can find it, as of Thursday, Gallatin County had a total of 3 cases. We don't have any today, I don't believe. We've had a total of 146 cases, and 141 of those cases have recovered. So, and there's been 1,800 people tested in our county for what that's worth. Today, let's see, we have 444 cases. 2 new cases today. One was in Wheatland County and one was in Yellowstone County, and one in Beaverhead County. I'm sorry, no, not in Beaverhead County, just those 2. Wheatland County had 1 and Yellowstone County had 1. Gallatin County still in the lead with 146. And if we look at the world stats, 2.7 million confirmed, 194,000 dead. And in the U.S., we have 886,213 confirmed and 50,780 dead. And of course, the bulk of those, about a third of those or more, are in New York City. So,
okay, well, before we go, because I want to talk something that's sort of important to everyone.
Do it, man. Do it.
So last night we all participated in the NFL
draft.
Thank you. And it was all done
virally.
And so nobody had the thrill and excitement of it, except he did get a big boo.
He did get a big boo, yeah. And anyway, too.
Yeah.
2 or 3 times. Come on, you can do better than that.
And amazingly enough, their ratings were up 37%, 15.6 million people.
Yeah.
The most on ESPN, which is owned by Disney. And this was the first show that had substantial numbers with regard to streaming. And I want to remind everyone, this industry is in serious trouble. So now it's like the oil industry because it's in serious trouble. But we've talked about annuities, and next week I want to talk about them again because in all sports, the way I want to explain to everyone again, it's for you to understand how sports are funded, how these $20 million contracts are paid, and 12 and 15 and 40, whatever they are. It's important for you to know because, folks, I'm not sure they're going to survive this if they don't turn this around. If Trump doesn't go, I mean, serious, if they don't open up sports seasons soon, Tom.
Yeah.
And I warned everybody because I thought it would be annuities that would cause this problem. And it turns out to be a virus. Oh, by the way, Those Greenpeace people, they don't like sports, folks. You know, the Hollywood crowd. You're taking money out of our pocket. And Hollywood, by the way, is down 20 billion. 20 billion in lost revenues so far this year, folks. 20 billion.
Amen to that. All right, our time is pretty well up here. Hey, don't forget, we've got a text line. You can text us 24/7, 365 at 406-478-8298. And of course, don't forget our app chat line as well, AM 1450 KMMS. Get the app at Apple Store or Google Play. And don't forget, you can listen to this show and all of our previous shows at KMMSAM.com. You can also listen to our station all day, all night over there at KMMSAM.com. And if you're on YouTube right now watching us, hey, hit the subscribe button down in the corner. We're here every day for a while till we go back on the air. And I don't know, we may do one of these. We may do after the show shows when we're back on the air. We may do some after the show things. So we could
change the time if we come back at 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock my time, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock your time. We could then do an hour of this afterwards. You can handle it.
Yeah, we could do an after the show. We've done those before, so
so we just add it on, but it's live, and then we'll fire it out, on the internet.
Sure. Yeah, we'll be doing
that. Move it from 1 o'clock my time, 2 o'clock your time to 8 and 9 o'clock. That would be cool. I'd love that.
We'll do whatever we can. Okay. All right.
Well, thanks for help Palm Eaglehoff. Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hey, we appreciate it very much. Say goodbye, Shane.
Goodbye. Oh, right. Yeah. Well, as I say, my handle is be happy, be safe, live in the moment, live to work, and God bless the great people of America and Canada, the two best country clubs in the world.
Amen. All right. All right. We will see everybody. Hey, thanks so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. And we'll see everybody Monday afternoon at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 1 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock Central, and 4 o'clock Eastern. So stay tuned for that. And don't forget, this show will be up. If you missed any part of it, we'll have it over at KMMSAM.com. KMMSAM.com. Don't forget the AM. And we'll see everybody Monday afternoon. Bye for now.